The reason it's a broken down park. It talks about the psychological state of Jeevan. He's playing with the spray.
Something odd about the place.
Exactly. Like right next to Charminar. And the sequence is old city shoot pannom.
அது ரொம்ப population dense ஆன ஒரு place. எப்படி எடுத்தீங்க?
Exactly. What kind of frame disturbs the audience more? The generic thing would be Dutch angle or like, that kind of thing. But the truth is a close-up.
Okay.
Because the audience has to confront the reality of what the character is going through in a close-up. In a way, I felt that, did I underexpose this image too much? I kept thinking. But somehow I feel it kind of worked. It's actually dark because when I was doing DI, I was trying to open it up and it was very dark. It's like, I don't know how Vijay did it. Because he was the one who was... Yeah, he rode the bike.
Out of speed up?
Yeah.
Hello Siddhartha, hi, welcome to Cinema Express. எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. Last we met for
Captain Miller, yeah. இது எப்படி இருக்கு? Greatest of all time response?
It's been very positive. I'm very happy because we started the shooting last year, October, if I'm not wrong. And we are here in September and we are 11 months. We finished the project end to end and very happy and thrilled. Yeah. I was filming Captain Miller at that time and we were in Madurai shooting the bike chase, the interval block.
Okay.
So I got a call vanduchu and then I had a chat with Sir and he said, okay, can you come down to Chennai? Let's meet up and stuff. And I came, met him, then there was a narration in the second meeting at AGS with Achna and all of us. Kind of got a glimpse of the world that we were trying to get into. And from that time, so generally, once a story comes to me, I kind of like start thinking about how do we present this. It's about building the visual grammar of the film, right? So that takes, so July Nanda had like a good July, August, September, so 3 months. So once Miller shoot got over, I got directly into it. We sat in the office every day, understanding the grammar,
I know you're very big on precise visual grammar. ஒரு படத்துக்கு வந்து யூ செட் த டோன் அண்ட் கலர் ஸ்கீம் எல்லாமே ஃபஸ்ட்டே நீங்கள் போயிடுவீங்க அப்படின்ட்டு. வாட் வாஸ் வெங்கட் பிரபு அவர்களோட ஃபஸ்ட்டு இன்புட் ஆன் லைக் எப்படி இருக்கணும், வாட் வாஸ் இஸ் ரெஃபரன்சஸ் அண்ட் ஹவு டிட் யூ டிசைன் த விஷுவல் கிராமர் ஆஃப் இந்த படம்?
That's what the first thing after the script comes in, I try to understand what kind of films have been shot in this space. And I come from a more European kind of visual sense and stuff like that. I don't watch too many action films, but I enjoy the Bond films of the Daniel Craig era and Mission Impossible series and Bourne series, primarily because they come across as ordinary characters. They're vulnerable. They're very, relatable. Like you feel that you can understand their difficulties and their trauma and the situation that they're in. I think they've humanized them. If you look at the older Bond films, the human element is completely missing. It's very swashbuckling and he's just going around and
flaws la irukadhu.
Exactly. You don't know the human Bond at all. But I think
Daniel Craig was the first one who cried, I think, first Bond.
Yeah, exactly. So I can watch these films again and again. Like Skyfall, I can watch it any day. Sicario, this vulnerable hero is a very beautiful concept. And I think film is embracing a lot of that these days. And I'm not a big fan of Marvel or none of these, but these 3 series I can always revisit because they're also aesthetically shot. They're cinematic gems and kuda kekalam. Like Roger Deakins had completely changed the way. Like recently I had a discussion, a chat with Rajiv Menon sir at Mindscreen, and so I was talking about how Skyfall, how Roger Deakins took a mainstream action franchise and turned it into a different space altogether, into a very relatable, very aesthetically shot Bond film. And so my reference was also Skyfall and then the Mission Impossible series of the recent times and Bourne Identity. So because if you look at the greatest of all time, Gandhi is a vulnerable hero, right? A common man who probably lives next door to you, right? And we wanted him to be presented that way, even though there are extremely high octane action sequences and stylized chases, but the human, the character of Gandhi, we wanted to be kept very real. And Family Van was a reference for that. So that's why we never chose a palette or like, in the beginning of the film itself, because we knew that we were going to shoot in Istanbul. Initially, Moscow was supposed to be Istanbul, so we were like Istanbul, Thailand. Initially, it was supposed to be Japan. So it was like, if we are going to set this world, take this film to different countries, we want to embrace that world.
Okay.
We want to just capture that world and bring it into this, into the film. And I think we have managed to do that pretty well.
See, you spoke about how ஒரு ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் கலர் பேலட் நாங்கள் வந்து செட் பண்ணலை அப்படின்ட்டு. That's interesting for me because நான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு இந்த படம் பார்க்கும்போது it didn't feel like your film. அதாவது you like a lot of dark depth இருக்கும், கலர் இருக்கும், டிஃபைன்டு இது இருக்கும். இதில் வந்து நிறைய டொனாலிட்டி யூஸ் பண்ணியிருப்பீங்க.
Correct.
There are a lot of different colors, ஒரு மாதிரி மிக்ஸ் அண்ட் மேட்சாக இருக்கும். அது நான் என்ன எப்படி எடுத்துக்கிட்டேன் அப்படின்னா, வெங்கட் பிரபு அவர்கள் வந்து என்ன சொல்லியிருந்தாங்கன்னா, இது வந்து அட் எண்ட் ஆஃப் தி டே ஒரு ஸ்பை த்ரில்லராக இருந்தாலுமே இட்ஸ் ஒரு கமர்ஷியல் படம், அந்த ஓல்ட் ஸ்கூல் கமர்ஷியல் படம் கொண்டு வரணும். அண்ட் வாட் ஆர் கமர்ஷியல் மசாலா படங்கள், நிறைய எமோஷன்ஸ் இருக்கும், நிறைய ஜான்ராஸோட மிக்ஸ் இருக்கும் இல்லையா. ஸோ விஷுவலுமே வந்து அந்த மாதிரி தான் இருந்துச்சு. இட்ஸ் அ மிக்ஸ் ஆஃப் லாட் ஆஃப் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் டொனாலிட்டிஸ்.
Yes.
ஸோ ஐ கெஸ் தட் வாஸ் ஆல்சோ பார்ட் ஆஃப் யுவர்.
Yes, absolutely. Like if it is the scene defined the look, if you can call it that, because the truth is that every 3 days I was in a different location.
Okay.
Like we shot the film for 145 days, but no location I've gone back to. Like it was always, sometimes I would shoot half a day in one location, half a day in another location. So the scenario kept changing. Now, how do I define a certain kind of palette when I'm going to a world? For example, we shot in the old city in Hyderabad with Vijay sir. Like in the old city, I'm talking about Charminar, like right next to Charminar, the sequence where Vijay sir comes to Vaibhav sir's characters.
Okay, Jeevan first confront பண்ற.
Yeah, not that. Before that sequence, they go to Yogi Babu sir takes him to say that this is where Vaibhav. Yeah. And the sequence எல்லாம் old city ல shoot பண்ணோம்.
அது ரொம்ப பாப்புலேஷன் டென்ஸான ஒரு ப்ளேஸ். எப்படி எடுத்தீங்க?
Exactly. So I think we had a great time, like shooting with Vijay sir in live locations.
Crowd identify பண்ணி வந்துட்டாங்களா?
Yeah, people knew that it's Vijay sir, but we were careful. We were like, we would just take it and like, but the beauty of live location is the ambience is so natural that ஒரு take போதும். Somehow we're not rehearsing too much. Maybe it all kind of comes together. It's easier for the artists also to perform, I feel, because when you're like, okay, background action, அதெல்லாம் சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறம் ஒரு staged ஆயிடும், I feel. That's why I like shooting in real locations. So we went to Hyderabad. We had like a good 20-day schedule there. So that's why I feel the film kind of comes real, because Thailand la natural shoot பண்ணோம் without any inhibitions. Like we shot in Pattaya for like 20 days, and we had that whole car chase was shot in that. Pattaya is like it's 4 roads. It's like we just shot there, and it's like and whoever people on the road were real people on the road. Obviously, we were shooting high speed, and people were like, "What is going on?" And nobody registers the camera, right? So much. So it's actually tourists, like background actors, romba kammi. So that way, I felt we were able to achieve a sense of realism in the film, and not defining the palette, but more like embracing what that world gave us.
நிறைய நேச்சுரல் லைட் கூட யூஸ் பண்ணிருப்பீங்க. அண்ட் இதுக்கு அப்படியே ஆப்போசிட்டா வந்து இந்த எண்டிங் சேபாக் சீக்வன்ஸ் விபி வந்து என்ன சொல்லியிருந்தாருன்னா, நிறைய இடத்துல எடுத்து நாங்கள் ஒரே மாதிரி ஸ்டிச் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்ட்டு. So I'm like guessing, was that the most difficult sequence to plan?
I think planning takes care of half the work. I feel like that planning is where the film is actually made. The truth is, because you can visualize anything in the world, but if you're able to plan it, you're able to execute also. That is the primary thing, right? And so inga vandu we already knew what was going to happen. So we know, okay, the scene starts with this, and then it cuts into this, and then it cuts to. So already everybody, the crew knows like what is going to happen. And then we come together, the production designer, the stunt coordinator, the director, the CG supervisor, the camera. We all come together and we're like, okay, how do we execute this? What scene requires what location? And what scene requires real location? What scene requires a set? So இதெல்லாம் decide பண்ணிட்டு then we are just breaking it down and executing it. So the climax sequence we shot in Trivandrum Cricket Stadium. We shot for about a week there, and then we shot in Chepauk Stadium, and then we shot set.
Okay.
So the CG team, we had like about five, I don't remember now, but quite a lot of extras in Trivandrum. You've seen the videos of all the people coming to see Vijay sir, right? So we had like a lot of extras, and the CG team went and shot plates
Okay.
based on what they needed,
Okay.
because the climax happens on control room. Control room on the end angle, we shot that on set actually, and then the background was all stitched onto that image. So they knew the angles. Okay, where was it? Which okay in the angle ka idu theva, like that on the the curve depth theva in the angle in the frontal. So they knew what all angles are needed based on what we shot. And obviously for the climax also, it was all like, obviously we can't shoot on the rooftop of Chepauk because it requires a lot of manpower, a lot of background actors. So all of that was, again, they took plates in the stadium. We also had real match footage. So idella stitch pannittu we could achieve this. So yeah, it was an endeavor. Yeah.
What is your favorite scene to shoot? My fun. I had a lot of fun shooting the sequence. Abdina, what would you say?
Everything was super fun for me, the whole thing. But particularly, I remember I was fascinated, if you can say that. I love natural light, and we shot in a broken spinning mill of the 1600s in Pondicherry, where Vijay sir and Mohan sir's characters confrontation.
Okay.
So there, my assistant had gone that previous day because we were shooting here, so I had to send him in advance, and I didn't even see the location and all of that. But I just walked in, like I think the previous night I shot, and then overnight we traveled and went to Pondicherry, and the scene was in the morning, right? And we shot there for like 2 days or something, if I'm not wrong, and or 2-3 days, if I'm not wrong, because it's a very important scene in the film. And I walk in and I see this beautiful sun rays like falling in, right? And then through the day, if you look at it, there's ample sunlight in the place, right? Because in the 1600s or 1800s, there wouldn't have been any lights. And how do these people work there? The architects have designed it in such a way that the sun illuminates the place in a very aesthetic way. So the sun rises in the east and goes to the west, right? That is the way. And then you have the sun always at an angle, right? And trust me, we've used like 5-6 lights. One light for just to keep the artists in the illuminate them to separate from the background. Rest of it we use smoke.
Okay.
Just to create the depth. When the smoke is there, the sunbeams create
Or shaft of light, Tamari. Okay.
So that's how we shot the entire film. I mean, that entire scene. Yeah.
That's the cool thing about old abandoned buildings. I think
Exactly.
they have character.
Yeah, they have character and they have architecture. There is a thought behind it, right? I think it's not just aesthetic, but it's functional, right? And that's the beauty about architecture. So when we go to a place, we generally we have a look at, okay, how is the design? Where does the sunlight come from? Where is the sun path? So based on that, we do the lighting.
இது பிரசாந்த் பிரபுதேவா அவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் சண்டை போட்டுக்கிற சீக்வன்ஸும் அதே
அதே.
பட் இந்த மோகன் அந்த காந்தி கான்ஃபரன்டேஷன் அவங்க சீனுக்கும் இதுக்கும் வந்து லைட்டிங் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கும்.
எஸ்.
why is that? Like அவங்க கொஞ்சம் harsh ரெட் இருக்கும் அந்த பிரசாந்த்
just to stylize it, just to give it a touch of stylization.
that was later in the day ன்றதுனால
it's in the night, and so obviously I love urban sodium. I've used that a lot in Vendu Tanindadu Kaadu also, so I had to bring it.
That is just indulgence.
Yeah. Indulgence, and also I think it brings character. See, I'm a big proponent of using color for not just for aesthetic purposes, but for psychological purposes. Like Vittorio Storaro talks about the theory of color. Like this, theory of color talks about how a certain color creates a certain kind of emotional and physiological response to the human mind. For example, why is red? Why does our traffic lights have red? It's because red signifies danger.
Blood.
Blood,
Is
right?
danger.
It's in our ingrained in our human system. So the same reason why Schindler's List has a girl in the red. It's full black and white because the reason is there's no color. Color brings life. And if you look at Jeevan and Srinidhi's,
And the amusement park.
amusement park scene, we could have lit it up in a very dark, dingy way, because sinister. Konjamoru.
Yeah, நான் கேட்கணும்னு நினைச்சேன். Yeah.
But we kept it very lively. The reason it's a broken down park. It talks about the psychological state of Jeevan. He's playing with the spray on the moon. But there is greenery in the background, which signifies life. There is yellow in that where Srinidhi is sitting, which is joy. So it's like, but the place is broken.
Something odd about the place.
Exactly. It's a psychological, because he's becoming serious, suddenly he's crying, suddenly he's laughing. So it's like a very, very dichotomous situation, right? So to create that tension, we went with, even the grading, I kept it very lively. Because in the end, something opposite happens.
Since you brought up color theory, இப்போ நீங்கள் ஜீவனுக்கு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா வந்து இஸ் சப்போஸ் டு பி திஸ் லைக் ஒரு மெனாயக்கல் ஒரு டேஞ்சரஸ் பர்சன். பட் அவருக்கு எல்லா இடத்துலையும் பிரைட் கலர்ஸ் தான் டிஷர்ட் போட்டிருப்பாரு. அந்த கில்லிங் சீக்வன்ஸில் கூட சின்ஸ் yellow signifies joy நீங்கள் சொன்னீங்க, பட் he wears yellow. Like you wanted to play with that contradiction.
Exactly. It's the dichotomy. So it's very meta. See, it's also that it's CSK, that whole cricket match, but it also signifies he's a young guy. He's a young person, but in the wrong world.
Okay, it's also because he's trying to manipulate them, like trick them into thinking he's a good person.
Yeah. So there's a lot of thought. It's like you keep him, he's trying to blend in. He's not, inside he's not that, but outside he's trying to portray that he's a nice guy, but after a point, everything breaks apart.
Jeevan is one of my favorite characters in the film. அதில் வந்து லைக் அந்த de-aging வந்து சீம்லெஸ்ஸாக இருந்துச்சு அந்த 23-year-old ஜீவனுக்கு. அண்ட் லைக் 70 coming to 70-year-old Jeevan, like how tough was that? Usually அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்டலான ஒரு டெக்னாலஜி யூஸ் பண்ணும்போது ஹாலிவுட்டில் வந்து ஷேடோஸில் தான் காமிப்பாங்க, ஒரு மாதிரி ஹைட் பண்ணி தான் காமிப்பாங்க. பட் இதில் வந்து நீங்கள் 17-year-old ஜீவனை வந்து ஒரு நார்மல் ரூம் லைட்லேயே காமிச்சிருப்பீங்க. தட் வாஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல் டேரிங். ஏன்னா அது லைக் குட் ஹவ் கான் எதர் வேஸ். பட் ஹவு டிட் யூ டிசைட் டு ஷோ தட் கேரக்டர்? லைக் because it is a very risky technology.
Yeah, it is risky, but the confidence that we get is from our peers, right? From our colleagues. And obviously their only requirement was that let's not overlap him. For example, if I keep a close up, sometimes the subject there could be overlap with the foreground person. So that was the only requirement from their end.
Okay.
That overlap panna, the computer will not the software does register it doesn't know what to do. So, because it's a nascent technology. So, they're like, that's the only requirement that they had. And even in post-production, we made art. So, for example, AI is a new technology, right? The whole deep fake thing. And when it came to us, there's a certain kind of plasticity to the texture of the skin and all of that stuff. We kind of blended it in with, some tools like bleach bypass and then film lux. We made it a little bit more grainy, so the character becomes real. So that's the thing. So CG does their work. So it's like a nice little coming together of technologies, using technology for the right reason.
Okay, because like we had to get into criticisms. That was one of the criticisms that like அந்த பட் ஆனால் யாருமே அதை அப்பட்டமா அதை பெருசாக நோட்டீஸ் பண்ண மாதிரி சொல்லலை. பட் லைக் were you nervous around using AI deepfake and all? ஏன்னா மெயின் ஸ்ட்ரீம்ஸ் ஹாலிவுட் சினிமாலே இன்னும் they haven't explored AI deepfakes yet, இல்லையா? So were you hesitant or were you like illa poirலாம் அப்படின்ட்டு?
No, I think it's the confidence that we get from our captain. VP sir was to think that hey, we have to do this is itself. It gives you that trust, the trust that they say, right, like a good word can make a person like the word that so that's what the trust kind of like pushes you to your best, to do your best. And I think that's the same with all of the other departments. Like VP sir could have done something much more simple, but the choice that hey, we have to do this is in itself a bold decision.
That's a bold call, yeah.
Bold call, and we had that backing. Like we had that backing of the director and the producer, and so and we just stuck to we just tried to do our job. That's it.
And இன்னொரு சைடு பார்த்தா since you brought up indulgence, there were a lot of visual indulgence which were used very sparingly. எனக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்துச்சு என்னன்னா ட்ரோன்ஸாக இருக்கட்டும், அதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த ரோபோ ஆர்ம் மோகேப்பா
மோகோபாட்
மோகோபாட் அதெல்லாம் வந்து நிறைய இருக்காது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் மட்ட சாங்கில் அந்த மோகேப் இருக்கும். அதே சமயத்தில் அந்த இன்ட்ராகேஷன் சீனில் வந்து இவர் வந்துட்டு ஒரு கிக் பண்ணுவார் அந்த சேரை. அப்போ ஒரு விழும்போது கூட மோகோபாட் தான் இல்லையா? அது அந்த ஒரு few seconds தான் வரும் அது. You didn't like go overboard with all these.
Yeah. So I feel that technology shouldn't be overkill. Like technology, we should see. In the end, we're telling a story, and story is relatable when it's intimate. Like because I come from a documentary background, I like to keep my Lucia was one of my first films. I know from then on, it's been like if you take City of God, right? The action is very very close to it's very personal. If you take Roger Deakins also had said in an interview that when you're doing an over the shoulder shot, if you keep the camera the further away from the foreground, the eye line is missing, is away from the camera. Like for example, if we are capturing you and you're talking to me, if the camera is at this angle, your eye line is the camera is not able to see your eyes as clearly as possible.
Okay.
So the best is to always keep it as close as possible to the to the subject. This way you might be able to get more of this, but you're missing the subject. So I firmly believe that it's beautiful to keep the action very close to the camera, so the audience is very engrossed. In fact, Rajiv, so when I was in Mind Screen, there was this discussion about what is the most disturbing, what kind of frame disturbs the audience more. And the generic thing would be Dutch angle or that kind of thing. But the truth is a close-up.
Okay.
Because the audience has to confront the reality of what the character is going through in a close-up.
That's true.
So it's not a Dutch angle. Okay, Dutch angle creates a bizarre mood, or a wide angle low creates a certain mood. But if you I'm talking about cinema verite. I'm talking about truth. Truth of the moment is best captured in a close-up. So one of my favorite moments in the film is the confrontation between Prashant sir and Jeevan's character Jeevan in the interrogation room.
Okay.
We kept a 100 mm and shot macro 100 mm macro Prashant's close-up. I think it really arrests because he's confronting the person who has wronged him, and it's such an intimate close-up, I felt. And the light also, it's like just half of it is lit and the other half we kept it dark.
You did that a lot in the படத்துல. அதாவது like விஜய் அவர்களோட ஃபேஸ் வந்து நிறைய half the face அவர் கண்ணை மட்டும் காமிப்பீங்க நிறைய இடத்துல.
It's a conscious decision. The reason is basically the dual nature.
Okay.
The dual nature of the character, right? It's like that's why Gandhi is kind of evenly lit generally. Whereas whenever a character is in conflict, I think I try to light him half light, or that way we create that what the character is going through, what the character is hiding.
When you tell me, எனக்கு இந்த சீன் தான் ஞாபகம் வருது. Just before Spark song போறதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஜீவன் will deceive Gandhi and say இல்லப்பா பொண்ணு பார்க்க தான் வந்திருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு திரும்பி போகும்போது அவர் ஒரு மாதிரி கதவு கிட்ட நின்று இப்படி ஒரு மாதிரி பார்த்துட்டு இருப்பாரு.
Actually, in a way, I felt that did I underexpose this image too much? I kept thinking, but somehow I feel it kind of worked. It's actually dark because when I was doing DI, I was trying to open it up and it was very dark. It's like, did I go overboard on this one and full, because, but then I think it worked. I mean, that's the thing. I think the audience appreciates when you're trying to be honest to the story, and I think that was a call that we had taken early on that we'll be true to the story and not be like what you said, not do too much of Mokobot or like, all of that. We just very sparingly, but we kept stuck to the story,
Okay.
stuck to the characters. Yeah.
Earlier, when I asked you what your favorite scene was, interrogation scene சொன்னீங்க. But I thought you would say and the Russia and the chase sequence அப்படின்ட்டு. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that.
இருக்கும்ல.
Yeah, I had a great time shooting that. Emotionally, what touches you is what I'm talking about. That's that way that because the play of light and dark and all, but action sequences, I had a great time. It's fun executing it. It's like you're in a chase.
You were actually there.
I was inside the Russian arm when we were shooting the Moscow segment, and we shot for 4 days, and 2 days Vijay sir did Gandhi, and 2 days sir did Jeevan, and Gandhi's character, like sir was riding the bike, and Jeevan was sitting behind it. So whenever we had to shoot, sir in the front, the car will be leading, and then so basically Russian arm is what is the equipment that we used. It's basically like a sturdy jimmy jib, which is loaded, which is fixed on a car, and it's like it can move left to right, top to bottom, very smooth, and it can go high speeds. So all Hollywood action sequences are shot. Chase sequences are shot with the Russian arm, and we got the opportunity to shoot with it. I'm really grateful for it, for my producers, and all of that. We had we got what we needed, like, and so we'd be belting it in in like a road which is like 15 feet apart, and we just had enough to for the just the car to go through, and we obviously had to rehearse 2-3 times before the shot is taken, and I'll be sitting in the in the car in the back seat, and the stunt driver will be riding the car. Is like belting at 70-80, I don't know. And then the operator.
But you have to look at the monitor. Avlo speed up போயிட்டு இருக்கும்போது.
Yeah. And the operator is right next to me. I had to give him instructions, and he obviously doesn't know English because he's Russian and all of that. So, but it was fun. They're great technicians, and I learned a little bit of Russian. Bistri, I mean, slow down. Now I forget now. But they're really great technicians, and I would be shouting out instructions. Okay, left, now top. Because there's a certain kind of angle that we wanted for a certain kind of shot. So it was a very exciting, yeah.
Equipment உடைக்காம எப்படி ஓட்டுனீங்கன்னு தெரியல எனக்கு.
Thank God for that. No, that they're so good. Like they're very experienced, and
what side you use?
I don't know how Vijay sir did it because he was the one who was. He rode the bike.
Avlo speed up.
Yeah, okay. It's crazy. I mean, because if we were in the front, he had to obviously catch up with the camera, right? So whatever speed we did, we would say that, sir, this is the lens. So we'd like, this is the, distance.
So he has to also keep in mind the lens.
Keep in mind the lens. So if it's 50 mm, there's a certain kind of frame. Yeah. If it's a 25 mm. So we just inform him in advance that this is the distance. And obviously, he was the one who was riding the bike.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy. And also the thing is, when we are in the front, it's a different thing. But what about when... For G1, sir had to go in the front. So we were catching up with him. So it's like beautiful. Yeah. I'm grateful to God. Everything.
From your perspective, அடுத்து என்ன ஒரு புது டெக்னாலஜி வந்து நம்ம ஃபிலிம்ஸில் யூஸ் பண்ணால் நல்லாயிருக்கும் விஷுவல்ஸ் வைஸ் சொல்கிறேன். Are you excited to see any of these things? Because AI is just up and coming. There are other things கூட. இப்போ டிஜிட்டல் ஸ்க்ரீன்ஸ்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. இந்த பேட்மேன் படத்தில் அந்த மாதிரி. Is there anything that you're particularly excited to explore?
Yeah, definitely. Films? I think I would like to get away with blue matte at some point and like start using actual, footage which you shot and like projected on the, back projection Madri, if possible. I mean, blue matte has its advantages, I can't say, because you can change it later also. If you don't like the background, you can always change it. So that is also there. And what else? IMAX.
IMAX, you want?
Yeah. That'd be cool. The real IMAX. Real IMAX cameras.
It's a heavy camera.
Yeah. I think it will be very, very cool if we get to do that 65mm. We've been trying to I've been talking like recently had a chat with ARRI people about, we had a chat after Captain Miller. and I was telling them about the greatest of all time and all of that. And yeah, they were like, they're open to the idea. They were like, okay, I was asking like, can we do 65mm? Can we do, IMAX and the Madri? So hopefully we get to do that at some point. That'll be really nice. Yeah.
Awesome. I really hope you get to play with those gadgets.
Maybe Goat versus OG. Yeah.
Maybe. Is it happening though? தெரியலையா? சரி, Go to OG-ல நீங்க IMAX வச்சு எடுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு ஆசைப்படுறேன். All the best for that, and thank you for this amazing interview.
Thank you so much.
Hope to meet you again.
Thank you so much.